Hey golfers, it's Craig with Single Length School, and we're back with another video. And this one, we're going to take a dive into some of the questions I get asked a lot. So I have done these FAQ videos in the past, and I've got some new ones, some new questions that I'm being asked, and I think it's going to benefit everyone out there to actually watch this video and get my input on some of these questions. So let's get started. So if you're new to the channel, this is your first time here, do me a favor, go down, hit that subscribe button in the bottom, that little red subscribe button. Hit that, hit the notifications bell right beside it. And when you're done watching this video, if you find some information useful, hit that thumbs up button, give me a like. Also, don't forget, go check out our social media channels. You can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. So as I said in the beginning, I get a lot of questions all the time, whether it's single length irons or something about the swing. And now that I'm in the middle of summer, or not quite the middle of summer, but now that we're kind of in the peak of the season or starting peak of the season, a lot of my students are asking a lot of questions as well. And I've got my schedule's filling up really quickly. Currently I'm averaging about 3 to 4 students per day, so over 5 days. So roughly 15 to 20 students a week as they come in and go out. But I want to cover some of the questions I get asked, whether it's through email, out here on the range, one of my virtual lessons, any of those. And if you guys are interested in lessons, you can hit me up on my social media channels, or you can hit me up on my website, singlelengthschool.com. You can reach out to me. I do lessons through Zoom. I have my on-demand package. And if you're local to the Pittsburgh area, I also do live and in-person lessons as well. But let's take a look at some of the questions that I get asked and some of my thoughts on it. The first question I get a lot of questions about, or the first thing I get a lot of questions about, is single length wedges. And so what we're talking about with single length wedges is a wedge that's the same length as the rest of your irons. And in 99% of the cases, that wedge is going to be 6 iron, 7 iron, 8 iron length. So it's a lot longer than a normal wedge. Now, the question is, what's the benefit to playing it and what are the cons? Well, let's talk about it for a minute. Let's talk about the cons first, because the cons, there's not a lot of cons. The hardest thing when playing single length wedges is actually the fact of mentally adjusting to them. Once you get through the mental part and realize that you need to swing those the same as your 7 or 8 iron, they become very easy to use. The benefits, what I find, are actually around the green. Now, I've talked to a lot of guys who just struggle with single length wedges or one length wedges around the green. And I get it. And it's more a mental thing than anything. But once you get used to it, there's a lot of benefits. Number one, because they're longer, it's easier to get through thick rough around the green. It's easier to chip. You don't have to take such a big stroke to get through heavy grass. You can actually take more of a putting stroke with your wedges because it's so much longer and actually hit it a little bit easier and produce great results. The second big pro of playing single length wedges is out of the bunker. Now, I don't have a bunker around me at this moment, but for guys that are playing single length wedges, you don't have to swing as hard out of a bunker. In fact, I see guys going back to that same thing where, and a lot of golfers do this. They'll come back in a bunker and then they slow down coming through. And we all know that you need to explode through the bunker. But if you're playing single length wedges, if you slow down, you're actually still going to be able to get the ball out. And the third thing, at least in my experience with longer wedges, is I actually produce a little bit more spin because I get a little more speed. So those are the pros of single length wedges. And as I said, the cons, the biggest con is getting over the mental thing and really trusting the single length wedge. That's question one. Question two, and I'm going to keep referring back to my phone because they're actually in here. What clubs work better for slower swinging players that are below a 30-degree loft to avoid problems with trajectory, carry, and roll distances. So when we're talking lower than 30 degrees, we're actually looking kind of the upper end of the bag. So we're talking 3 irons, 4 irons, 5 irons, 6 irons, that portion of the bag. And what clubs are best? Well, honestly, the clubs that may be best for me are not going to be the clubs that are best for you. What I highly, highly recommend is if you're having trouble with that top end of the bag, if you have somebody local that does fittings, go get fitted. They're going to be able to find the right club for you in that range. Now, the slower swing players, I have a couple students that are slower swing players that still use the irons. They use the 3 iron, 4 iron, and 5 iron and don't have much trouble with it. Their gapping's good, their flight's good, and then I have other ones that struggle. If you're struggling with an iron that's lower lofted, so that 3, 4, 5 iron loft, I recommend trying a hybrid. Try a hybrid, whether it's a 1-length hybrid, a single length hybrid, or more of a traditional length hybrid if you're not a single length player. Try the hybrid. If you still have trouble with the hybrid, the other option is to go into a wood, a 7 wood, a 9 wood, there's 11 woods out there, something like that. And the idea behind the iron to the hybrid and the hybrid to a wood is the sweet spot. It's easier to find the sweet spot on a hybrid than it is an iron. And it's easier to find the sweet spot on a wood than it is a hybrid. But everybody is completely different. So this isn't a recommendation that you should be playing anything. The best way to find out what's best for you is to either go get fitted or to actually test it out on your own and find what gives you what you're looking for. The third question that I want to answer and go over today is, where does a 7 wood make more sense than a 19-degree hybrid or a 22 or 24-degree hybrid? Well, that's another great question. So the 7 wood is kind of comparable to, I would say, a 4 iron or so. And, a 5 hybrid's kind of a 2 iron, 3 iron type thing. The 7 wood's more of the 4 or 5 iron type of distance and flight. And where would it make more sense than a hybrid? Well, I just kind of answered it in the last question. It makes more sense when you have trouble getting your flight up with your hybrids, finding the sweet spot in the hybrids. If you're somebody that finds you hit your 3 wood or 5 wood consistently well, but your hybrids are not so good, then maybe it's a good chance to take a look at a 7 wood and see if you can fill that gap. Instead of a hybrid, use that 7 wood. The next question: do hybrid iron clubs have benefits over hybrids? So a hybrid iron club is exactly what it sounds like. The head is actually a mixture of a hybrid and an iron. And there are some sets out there in single length that are iron hybrids, and there are regular length, variable length irons out there that are iron hybrids. What those do, and I'm going to be honest, those are going to be more for struggling golfers. Whether you're an older golfer that's struggling with your game, struggling with consistency with the irons, or someone new to the game and you're trying to get better ball flights and make better contact, that's what those clubs are for. And, I'm not a fan of them, just me personally, but that's my personal opinion. I've seen them work for a lot of players, and I've talked to a lot of guys that play them for the simple reason that it gives them the ability to hit the shots they want. But again, are iron hybrids the right clubs for you? Well, it's best to go get fitted, test them out yourself, and find out what is best for you and your game. Final question, and this is one I get a lot. It's actually not in my phone, but shafts. What shaft should I be playing? That's a great question, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm a long hitter. My pitching wedge is 150. My drive's over 300 yards. In past clubs that I've had in the bag, I've always had a steel shaft. until I was fitted for these Adels, and we actually went to a graphite. The reason we went to a graphite is because it fit what I was looking for better than what I was getting out of my steel shafts. So again, the shafts, graphite, steel, senior flex, ladies flex, regular flex, stiff flex, extra stiff flex, that all comes down to you personally. And again, I don't like to keep saying it, but the best way to find out what's best for you is to go get fitted, to test everything out. You in your mind as the golfer have an idea of what every club should do for you. If your current shaft is not giving you what you expect, then there's thousands of shaft options that can give you what you're looking for. And when it comes down to single length irons or one length irons, the shaft options narrow a little bit because you have to have the right shaft in the right club head. Okay, so those are some of the frequently asked questions I get. I hope that information helps you understand your game, how to improve your game, how to improve what's in your bag. As always, I appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget, if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the notifications bell right beside it. Go check out our social media feeds and the website singlelengthschool.com. And in the description, I've got some links down there to some of my affiliates that help support the channel. Go check out their website. Go give them a follow on their social media channels. They appreciate it. They help me keep doing what I'm doing. And as always, until the next video, I'll see everyone in the fairway.